everybody. Welcome back to a new episode of Ready, Set, Cheer. We are so excited to talk with you today. My name is Antonette Phelps. I'm one of your hosts. We also have Sydney Cariel on, our other host. Hi, Sydney. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Happy holidays. Belated Merry Christmas.
Yes, thank you. You as well.
Thank you very much.
Of course. We also have a very special guest on today, Kellie Brisson. She is the head coach from Henry Ford II. Hi, Kellie.
Hello. Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you so much for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited.
All
We're
right.
so happy to have you.
So first of all, we just want to say thank you so much for supporting the show and reaching out to us last year. I know you and I had some back and forth emails and all of that. So we're so happy to finally have you on. So thank you for taking the time to talk with Sydney and I today.
For sure. Thanks for asking me to come and do this.
Yeah, we love to have it. Thank you so much. Let's first talk about just your background with cheerleading and with coaching.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I started cheering for the City League of Madison Heights Wolverines. Shout out to MHW. Back when I was 10, I there till I aged out and came back as like a junior coach. When I got into high school, I chose not to cheer on the dance team, but I still coached the Little League. So after graduation, I kind of stopped coaching, went about my ways, always came back and helped out a little bit. And then my early 20s, I reached out to them and I came back to the Wolverines to like be the general manager, run it. And it was all volunteer. There was no this. It was just through the city. And then I got married, had kids, walked away for a little bit, came back when I was old enough to be on the team. And I came on as a coach again. And I was on there through my aged out. And she went into junior high and she wanted to maybe try junior high competition. So I kind of looked like I was ready to branch out of the Little League. We were still doing like the MHSAA rules. So I branched out and I got my first true MHSAA job at as a JV coach, head coach at Clawson. And I was there for a full year and we had moved out to Sterling Heights, and just the truck from Sterling Heights to Clawson in the dead of winter was not something, that I was too keen on doing. And it was really hard on the family. So I ended up resigning from there and I thought, God, I want to do something. So I looked around and there was HF2. I applied for the JV coach and went in and I got the job, and I've been now the varsity head coach for, this will be my third season or fourth season as head coach.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. So you've got a long
for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. So Kellie, you and I talked about this over the phone a little bit before we recorded, but maybe you can set the record straight a little bit. Just explain the difference between the MAC division and the OAA, within MHSAA, correct? Because I think that's where there's some confusion.
There's actually a ton more conferences in the MHSAA, but the ones that we deal with are the OAA, Oakland Athletic Association, the MAC, which is what I'm in, and that is the Macomb Area Conference, and then the BWC, Blue Water Area Conference. So there's a lot of different conferences, but the ones that we were basically revolves around is the OAA and the MAC, and then the Blue Water Area Conference too as well.
Okay, gotcha. So
and most of the states comes from, most of the winners for almost all the divisions from those two as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think there was some confusion as to who was listed under MHSAA, but really both divisions are. I think I was even confused. I thought they were separate. Okay. So within the MAC,
I'm sure there's a different I'm sure there's something else, but for most the state, it is MHSAA, and then they just have the small little conferences under that MHSAA umbrella, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
It does.
So,
and then after that, it's
Mhm.
broken down from then regionals or districts, regionals, and so on.
Yeah, well, but once you get to districts, all that kind of stuff goes away, and it's just strictly D1 schools, D2 schools, things like that. It doesn't matter. I'm in district Stony, all Chester, all of them. Even though we're member OAA, it doesn't matter. They just somehow group us all together in divisions for when we go to districts. So
Okay.
and that
Gotcha.
they just
Thank you
align
for
by
clearing that
map.
up.
Yeah.
So it's
makes
a lot. It's taken a very long time. I'm like, well, what's the difference between MAC Red and D1 Red or D1? It took a very long time to understand that.
I was going to ask, how long did it take you to get all this alignment together?
I couldn't tell you who all the OAA teams are or the Blue Water Area Conference. I could probably tell you maybe 8-9 teams in the MAC. It's just not a team, I know who I go up against. I know where I want to be, I know it might be underneath me, but it's just really, it's hard because every 2 years, the MAC realigns in colors. So you want to be that up, we were in red, we dropped down to white. Well, we want to move back up, just like everybody else wants to move back up at the top. So it's just hard. It's hard to kind of, all right, where are we going? Who's taking this? Who's moving up? Who's moving down? You can ask to be moved down if your time isn't there anymore. And if you look out at your middle schools or highs, your feeder schools, and realize I don't have a lot of kids coming in, maybe you might want to move down in color so you have a chance. So it just depends on what your team wants to do and how good you are. But I do have to say most of our state champions come from the OAA, but the MAC's on the rise. I'll tell you that. We got some really, really great teams this year. I'm excited to be Anchor Bay, LCN, Dakota. All of our MAC teams are really putting on a show this year. I can tell already.
Okay, so that's actually what I was going to ask you next. Who are those top teams in the MAC division then? Since I think last year we focused a good amount on the OAA, so we kind of know those with the Rochester Adams, Rochester High, Stony, Troy, all of those teams. What about the MAC?
So we have MAC is our top, and in that one is Dakota, LCN, Romeo, Cusno, and Stevenson.
Okay.
And then the one I'm in is myself, Ford, Utica High, Port Huron, Anchor Bay, and Lakeshore.
Okay. So
and
as far as those
I
teams
don't
go, Go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, I don't know where the realignment, because last year was a little bit different. We weren't able to have our normal red, white, blue, because they had to mix it up and we could only do quads. So they tried to group. It was crazy. But this year we went back to normal, and we're still trying to figure normal out. So.
Gotcha. Well, I think a lot of teams are too.
Yeah.
So who would you say is your biggest rival then? Like out of all those teams that you just listed, who does Henry Ford go up against?
Well, what's funny is even though I'm like really good friends with all the Utica Community School coaches, it would be them, your Stevenson, the Utica, Ike. Oh, Ike's in red too. Sorry, forgot about Ike. Ike's in red as well. So those would be the people that we go up against. But it's funny, we're all friends and we all help each other out. But then the day of competition, it's like, hey, how you doing? Or every once in a while, I'll be like, hey, can you come videotape while my kids are on the mat? Sure, I'll come videotape. While you're performing. It's so. Really really, in that sense, if we're going through the white, we want to win white. So everybody that's in the white is I want to be, but in the bigger picture, when we're looking to get out of districts, it's, we've got to look who we're playing up against, and it's Stony, Rochester, Ruster Adams. My district is known as the District of Death because it's all the bigs, it's all the ones that go in and take first, second at states. So, me trying to get out, it's pretty tough. But that's what we want to be. We want to make sure that our numbers are really rising each and every week. So we're peaking at districts. So we have that chance to get out. So
yes, and you did last year.
Yes, we did. And it was pretty crazy that we did because Rochester's Rochester. They win all the time. They got COVID or was quarantined and they weren't able to perform. So because of that, I was able to get out of districts and go to regionals. And then regionals came and all excited, couldn't believe it. The girls were stunned. They're like, wait, what? We're going? That's crazy. All of a sudden we get a call on Monday saying that one of our girls tested positive and we would be out of regionals. I was devastated. I mean, I literally cried. I work at a school, so I walk into my school, I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. But Utica Community Schools at the time, you had to give a non-rapid test. You had to do the long one, like the PCR.
Right.
You couldn't give a rapid result and that be what it is. Well, that is what they gave to the school. So I was talking to my AD at the time and I said, so what are the odds if her PCR comes back and it's negative, do we get the plane? She's like, well, yes, you would, because then technically she doesn't have it and you'd be able to, but that's an extreme long shot. I'm like, all right, it is what it is. So broke the news to the girls. It was crappy. Wednesday, I get a call, put shoes on, you're back in. Her PCR was negative, so we were able to go. And girls, I call them, I'm like, back on. They're like, wait, what? I've got to work. I'll have to call and cancel work. And oh my God, I got to get this. And it's like, all right, let's go. We had that whole day Saturday, we went in early and practice and then got on the bus and went to regionals. We knew we weren't going to go anywhere after, but it was just the point of they got it taken away. Now we're back. So it was fun. It was great to experience.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, an emotional roller coaster and all of that for sure.
I swear, you couldn't make it up. I was walking around in a daze. I'm like, am I being punked? Is this for real? Did this just happen? Like, how does it even? Yeah, I couldn't believe it. So it was just fun. And I told the girls going, man, let's just go let's just do what we can do. Walk off laughing, have a good time, high five, and be done. What we were looking for is we were watching basically a mini state final right there on the mat because you had all the big dogs coming in, Stony Creek and Adams, most of them that they went. So it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, what a great experience for your girls to be able to do that.
Seriously. And like you said, the best way to handle it was go out there, smile, and give it your all. Like you said.
Yeah, it's like we have zero to lose. So let's just go out there. We knew going in, no way, but let's just go have some fun. Let's experience this. I had my first time at regionals with a team, so it was fun to just kind of watch. I remember taking a video and just like, oh my God, I'm here at regionals, one step away from states. When you put that in perspective, you're like, oh, wow, that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
We had it taken away. Yeah, you had it. It was taken away and then given it back to you. So I was like, we already won as far as I was concerned.
Right. Going off that a little bit, do you know what the restrictions or stuff like that with COVID this year will be at all? Do you know if there will be
There is
similarities,
none.
differences? Oh, there isn't.
There
Okay.
is none. No, no. Let me take that back. All of Oakland County has a mask mandate for schools. So if I'm coming to your school for an invitational in your Oakland County, my girls have to wear masks. We all have to wear masks. But in Macomb County, you're coming from an Oakland County school into mine, you don't have to. So that's the only difference is Oakland County schools, you have to wear a mask unless, I think each district is different. I know Lanphier, we're going to the Ram Rumble and the kids have to wear masks in school, but their district changed to if kids are in active play, they don't have to wear, but if they're just walking around the schools, then they have to be masked. Or if you're going to the bathroom, you have to be masked. But I haven't heard anything else from like Athens or Adams. They're hosting this year districts and regionals. And that plays into a huge, because my girls are training right now without masks on. And if you wore them last year, you know how difficult it was to do it. And you kind of modified some of the stuff because these kids were just, they can't breathe. So now when we get ready to go into regionals and districts, if they still have that mask mandate, we're going to have to practice with masks to get my girls. They just, anything can happen, whether it's getting a foot stuck in a mask, you've got to be prepared for that. We haven't practiced all year, even sideline, we were mask free. So, but that's it. That's it. I've got 16 varsity teams coming to my invite. They're all going to be there at the same time. We'll have double panels, going to be faster, but some people are choosing to stay with quads because that was really nice, but you're losing out on money and you're losing out on possible other teams coming in and being able to get that competition feel again. So, it's back to the way it was.
Right.
I'm sure there's going to be, hand washing stations and different things like that. So
with all of the changes going on, from last year to this year, has any of the rules changed? If maybe you could remind us how many girls are allowed on the floor in each round?
Sure. Last year, there was some rules that we couldn't do, like pyramids and basket toss, a couple other things. But this year is back to normal, back to the way it was before COVID. With mandatory numbers we have to have for divisions 1, 2, 3, 4. Round 2, you can only have so many girls. For D1, it's 12. D2, it's 10. D3, 8. D4, 6, and on. So for me being a D1, I have put the mandated number of 12 in round 2. Now, say I have some girls, it's COVID, I put 10 in, I'm going to have to take a 10-point penalty just walk the door. I'll be 10 points in the hole. It sucks. It does. A lot of people want that rule changed, but I don't ever see that changing. But for rounds 1 and 3, the max you can have 16. So I put 16, 12, 16. What you have in 1 is what you have to have in 3.
Okay.
But you could go 12 straight across, or whatever your mandated number is, you can go that across the board. But that all plays into your points, choreography, bonus points, all of that. So you really have to do the numbers. If you've got 4 stunt groups, you want to put 4 stunt groups out, 1 is constantly falling. Well, you can't go down to 12 and only put 3 in and have that 16 in round 1. So now you've got to take out kids of round 1 and reconfigure that whole thing. And round 1 is nothing but line changes and motions and ripples. It's a pain. You don't want to do that. But this is COVID, and that's just what you have to do, But right now, nothing has changed.
Okay. Yeah. And then as far as the highest possible scores for each round, will you give us a little rundown of that?
Um, I couldn't tell you exactly what, I mean, high numbers, if you're looking at usually like high, I would say probably round one is about 235, somewhere in there. Because there's so many different variants. You know, some people give a 0.02. It's crazy. Um, round three, or I'm sorry, round two, I think is about a 230. And then round three, I think I've seen 320, 325, somewhere in there. It's in the it's in there. But I can find out for you and give you the exact number. But that's roughly about what it is.
Right.
So
So when
usually,
you
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh no, you go ahead.
I think the highest score probably has seen is been like 788, 89, and that's state qualifying. So,
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
when you guys were putting your routines together for the 3 different rounds, are you thinking of how many points you can score when putting them together, or how do you put these routines together?
Well, I'm lucky. I have some great friends that do choreography. So, you know, I have them come in and do it, but work together with them, saying, you know, this is what I kind of like. I'll do some research. You know, YouTube is full of awesome teams, and you know, maybe I like this ripple, maybe I like the start of this or the end of this. That's what they'll put in. They'll ask, you know, do you have a theme? What is your maybe a callback, something like that, and they'll help and will, you know, make a good stepping stone for it, and then they'll come in and teach the kids. But for round three is where the points where you have to pay attention. You want to max out your score. So if you have 16 kids, you want to max out at that 800 points. And anything over is just candy, you know, is extra. But if you can max out at that 800, that's good. But if you start like today is your first day, you're not gonna be able to, you know, do full ups, to twist cradles, you know, to all them right away. So maybe you're thinking, well, let's start with this, and maybe we'll have a +1 that's where we're gonna go. And move on from there. And then you're looking, crap, I need to come up with a couple extra points. All right, well, let's add this little flair here. So it's just really about where you're starting at and how you can add little. You just rotate. That's 4 points. So you need 4 points, take a stunt, rotate that stunt, you know, or you need a spring, you need 3 points, have somebody come out of the spring out. It's a numbers game. And you sit down and you do what you can do. You know, we're working on our round 3 right now. I haven't even started the calculating the numbers yet, because you can tweak it a little bit here and a little bit there. You know, you want to have your bonus points, you know, you want to get your tucks in, you want to get your OLEs in, you know, those kinds of things, your team tumbling. But all the other things can be tweaked and added and taken away. And, you know, say you're working on a stunt and all of a sudden the stunt's just not going. It's just going up. And you're like, I'm not taking a chance. These kids are going to, you know, get hurt, first of all, or it's going to come down, because these kids kick themselves in the butt if they're out on the mat and these stunts don't come down. They're so hard on themselves. So we're going to modify it so it's hitting every single time. But at practice, we're going to go back. And then we add more points to it. So you need what number you're looking for, and you can make it happen with box outs. Box outs are crazy. You get a ton of points for box outs. It's not something that our varsity team will probably do, but hey, if you need it, you need it. You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Right. And, you know, going off of that, how long do you think, for your team, you guys are practicing, putting it all together, how long do you think it takes to get that final routine set and done? This is what we're going to do. Would you say a week, or how long for you guys?
Oh, well, if you're just not making any modifications to the original choreography, I'd say probably about 2 weeks to kind of get it down, because you're not really throwing up the stunts right away. You're counting it out, you're marking it, you're trying to get everything set, where to line up, not to line up, because that plays a huge factor in judging. If you don't have smooth transitions to one to another, you're going to get nailed on execution, not just for or the moment. You have to make everything nice and smooth. So we spend a lot of time just trying to mark the things, and then let's warm up your stunts. Go ahead and warm them up, and then we'll add them in slowly. Because again, if it's not working, we have to change that. We have to modify that stunt. So it's probably about 2 weeks, but make no mistake, every time a competition comes around, you're changing that round. You're either taking, adding. Every single time. I don't know anybody that starts off with one routine and that's the routine that goes to the end, because you get sick kids, you get hurt kids. You realize, this is just not working. I want to take this out. So every time, every competition, it's like, all right, guys, we're changing it again. But it's me, it's everybody. Everybody changes their stuff.
Oh, right.
So Kellie, let's go back and talk about you again. So let's talk about your coaching philosophy.
Okay.
What would you say is your coaching philosophy?
I don't know if I have just one, but because I came from Little League, and, I've coached kids from, 5, 6 years old up to 18 years old. You see a lot of difference. I really believe that you have to, not everybody can be coached the same. Everybody's different. So you got to get to know your kids, know each one's personality, kind of tap into how's life, because that plays a lot into what they do when they come in the door. If they're having a bad day, all right, what do we have? Are we having a bad day, a boyfriend bad day, or I failed a test bad day? And you can know. If you know your kids, you're part of, not necessarily part of their life outside of cheer, but you know what's going on. I think that makes it easier as a coach, because you know their personality, you know how to coach them. I guess that my philosophy is just know your team, know how to coach each kid is individually. Some kids are super sensitive, that if you say, listen, get it together, they're going to bust down in tears. But then you could say the same thing to another one. They'll be like, all right, I'm on it. Let's go. You can't be soft to some kids, and you can't be hard to some kids. So it's different. I say my philosophy is just learn your team, know your kids, stick to your guns too, because our kids will, now is a different time. If they can get away with things, they're away with things. If they, if I'm not really doing this, I'll still be putting around. No, you're not. You got to stick to your guns. You got to make a plan and make sure everybody's on board with that. And and when you look at the kids, it's maybe this one needs a little bit extra help. All right, how can I help you? Where there's other kids that can just get it right off the bat. So I guess my philosophy is learn your kids, know who you're talking to, and how you can coach them. Because if you can't just coach the whole team the same. You just can't. It's not going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's awesome. I know you also work in a classroom too, so that I used to be a teacher as well, and it sounds a lot like a teacher philosophy of not being able to just teach to, this is the one way I do it, and everyone's going to have to form to the way I do it, rather than trying to.
Well, I don't have a classroom per se. I'm the health para, so I take care of all the sick kids and things like that. But I still go into classrooms and help out where needed. But it's the same, Some of my kids just need that little extra. All right, I know someone's there and somebody will listen to me because I hurt my toe, and I've already told everybody in my classroom, but I just need to tell somebody else. They'll call me down, and we'll take a walk and we'll have a conversation. But again, you can't treat everybody the same. Everybody's different. Everybody has things going on, and it's hard. It's really hard, and especially with COVID, it's made things so much harder on these kids and coaches.
Right. Well, I'm sure that definitely makes you a special person in their life too. It's almost like a parent figure, that also has to with their own children.
For sure. For sure. I mean, you can't just be a coach and that's it. You can't. That's part of, you sign up as a coach, but you're more than that. You really are. You got to be counselor. You've got to be friend. You got to disciplinary, mom, dad, whatever they need. That's what you have to be. And that's why coaching is so important for these kids, because you're holding them accountable. Even if they don't have somebody else holding them accountable in life, you are that person. So,
yeah. And I think we see that across the board with all of the coaches we've talked to. You all have that kind of figure for the student, or the student athletes, I should say. And that's a really important position to be in.
Yeah,
it is.
Kellie, as far as your team goes, what would you say is the biggest strength, and what would you say is the biggest struggle for Henry Ford?
I think our biggest strength is our girls are all friends with each other. They may not all hang out outside of school, but there's no infighting, if that makes sense. There's no little petty drama. There's no arguing other than, well, you didn't do that right. It goes this way. It's cheer related. It's not outside drama. When we practice, everybody's friends. Our biggest struggle is, because they're friends, they like to goof off a little bit and trying to get them to, come on, we need to focus a little bit more, is a little bit hard. So it's kind of a little edward, they want to, because they don't see each other sometimes out of practice. So they see each other in practice and they want to, mess around, or they want to talk about this. It's like, no. We need to focus a little bit. So just kind of getting that direction, that drive to stay in is a little bit hard. So, because like last year, these kids couldn't go anywhere. Their parents wouldn't let them out of the house. So practice was it. Practice was their social, their sport, everything face to face, because everything's, obviously online now, other social media. But last year was crazy. We even learned around one online last year. That was the most craziest thing I've ever done as a coach, is that. But so come practice, they want to hang out and see everybody and play and have a good time. So that's our biggest struggle, is keeping them focused.
Going off all of that, and from last year and this being your third year as head coach, what do you think makes this team specifically so special this year?
All of the kids on the team are just been mine, if that makes sense. They've all, I mean, I've been in it for 4 years, but I was a JV coach. So all of the kids have just had me. I think maybe one had a half a season with the other coach, but 99.9% of these kids have been under me the whole time. So that's nice, because I got to know them. I have a huge junior class this year. I think most of my team is the junior class. So this is my 1 year to get ready for next year, because next year is going to be, I think we'll be at the top of our game. We're slowly climbing up there. But these girls have been with me through the beginning, and they're ready to kind of bust out of their shell. So it's to see progression in each one of them, because when we started, not a lot of them could do, springs or tucks, and to see where they're at now, it's so nice to be able to see them going and learn and finding their passion in the sport.
Definitely. And you touched on it a little bit here, but, to kind of wrap this up, is there anything you would want people to know about your team that they might not know from an outsider's point of view? What do you think that they would want to know?
we're coming. We're coming. We're making our move. This year we're gonna try, if COVID stays away, we're gonna try and make our move. But like I said, there's some great teams out there. But I want to be in that elite part too. I'm ready to make the MAC teams the best team in the state. OAA's got some awesome teams, all those Rochester teams, but it's time for MAC to shine, and hopefully we're going to be able to help get up there and do that, and just keep an eye out for us. All eyes on us, huh? That's our motto this year.
Awesome.
I love that. That's awesome. Well, Kellie, thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you so much for supporting the show. We loved hearing about your coaching philosophy, everything about Henry Ford, and we will definitely keep our eye on you guys this year.
Yes, please do.
So much. Thanks, Kellie.
Thanks.
Well, thank you again to Kellie Brisson. That was so awesome. She had such good insight for us. We were just talking about it. That was great. And we have a look ahead for a ton of competitions coming up here, Antonette. What do you say?
Yeah, so I'm going to list off a couple competitions that will be happening this week that we're keeping our eye on. And hopefully if anyone's involved in these competitions, if you want to reach out to us, let us know how the competitions went. Send us a clip. We'd love to see how the teams are doing this week. But we have on January 5th, the Huron League Jamboree. We have the SEC League Meet number 1. We have the Sturgis Invitational. Then on January 7th, the Richmond Blue Devil Invitational. On January 8th, the 11th Annual Chamatic Cheer Challenge. And on January 8th, also Allen Park Invite. That's a big one. January 8th, the Blackhawk Invite, Blue Devil Invite, Brighton's Best. That's going to be a busy week. Comstock Park Invitational, LPHS Rails Invite, and the Mustang Invite. There's also the Oxford Mardi Gras Invite. I'm not sure if that one's going to be going on or not, so we'll kind of have to check in on that one. Panther Invite, the Red Hawk Invitational, West Ottawa Invite. So it's going to be a very busy week for cheerleading.
Yes, so much fun stuff. Can't wait to get that going. And then don't forget, you can see some of our cheer clips on State Champs W or State Champs Michigan. So we got a lot of good stuff.
Yes, so in December, they posted one of the meets that was with Rochester Adams, Rochester High School, Stony, Troy Athens, and Lake Orion. So those clips were really cool to watch. I was very impressed so early on in the season.
Yeah, if you want to get pumped, watch those. We're not kidding.
Sure. And then one last thing, Cheer on Netflix. Season 2 is coming back on January 12th.
So excited for that to get going. That'll also get you pumped for everything we've got in store this season. I was just telling you earlier, I'm sad because I accidentally clicked comments on Twitter and I kind of know what might happen, but not going to let it ruin it. Still watching the season. Probably will binge it.
I know they bring in another school, right? So it's usually Navarro, but I heard they're bringing in Trinity Valley. So we get to see both teams now. But I don't know any spoilers, so I'm excited to watch.
The trailer itself just was real. I just wanted to keep watching the trailer over and over until January 12th.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Cheer podcast. If you want to reach out to Sydney and I, you can email us at readysetcheer@statechampsnetwork.com. And of course, reach out to us on any of our social media platforms. Thank you, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.